Welcome to Diane and Larry's place. You know, we're out here by the garden. Taylor and I talked about what do we do in a discussion for June. You know, we're trying to come up with different venues and ideas. And I said, well, you know, we talk about our whole concept of work in the office and just the way that American has always functioned since 1981 with one of my sayings of plan your work and work your plan. The same thing is true with spring in Minnesota. Since we only get about 5 good months, and the first 2 are planning your work and trying to get your work done so you can enjoy the last 2 or 3, we thought, well, that's a good tie into what we do in our business world and looking at your individual territories or business plans, because everybody's got to figure out, geographically, where are you? How does it divide up? Where are you going to spend your time? What days of the week? What weeks of the month? Who are you going to call on? And you create a cycle, whether it's a 4-week plan, an 8-week plan. We all did this in our previous lives, and it's a real good foundation for what we do today. So we figured, well, we'll show you some things out here in the country that we do that ties back into business in the same way that we operate at American, and I've operated since we did this in 1981. What are the basics of the garden, and how do we get it set up? You got to plan what you're going to plant, put it in the rows. Where are they going to be situated? There are certain things that you don't do in the same spot over and over, which is tomatoes. So you have to rearrange your garden. You have to prepare it, and so again, it goes back to that same original plan. Is that you lay out your garden as part of what you're going to do. You go through the preparation, the buying of the seeds and the planting, and then you put up the watering system, because hoping and waiting for rain isn't any good anymore. We have to irrigate. And so we do that, and now that starts the whole process, and we go through it, pulling weeds and maintaining it until you can harvest it over the summer. Some of the things come in early. It's just like when you go out and you start making your calls, your territory, you sell supply items or stock items. Those things happen early. Well, it's kind of like radishes. They come up early and they're done early. Raspberries are late. Raspberries is that bluebird, that big account, that big deal you've been working on that takes a long time for it to happen before you get it or it comes to fruition. So all these different vegetables or things in the garden are just like the different products we sell, on how you deal with them when they come due and how you process them. So now let's move on to number 2. Well, now that we're out in the woods, we're going to talk about vermin, because that's one of the things that we have to deal with early in the spring, because we have skunks, raccoons, and gophers. Pocket gophers, striped gophers, those are the 2 main gophers. The one we have here are the pocket gophers. They live below ground. They don't see light. They don't see in the daytime. And these are the traps that we used to do. You used to dig a hole, you'd find the runway, dig a hole, put the trap down, cover it with a shingle or some kind of a board, cover it back up so they wouldn't see any light or sense light, and then stake it down, and then the next day come and catch them. And if they didn't plug your trap, you had a pocket gopher. Growing up, we used to get 50 cents, I think it was, for a pocket gopher's front feet. And striped gophers, you had to have all 4 and a tail, and they were only like a quarter. But they don't have mounds. They live above ground, and they're more like a squirrel or a rodent that you would see, chipmunk, whatever. They got stripes. And those, the secret for mine, I just find the hole and I throw it down. My secret trick today, double bubble gum. And the reason is they can't digest it, and so they love it because of the sweetness, but it's a lot easier than digging a hole and doing all that work. So what you do is you find the runway, and so when you find the mounds, you look for the freshest one. This one is not the freshest, but it's close. And so what they do is they keep building, and they keep working to the end, But let's do that. Let's go find the end. You look around for this here circle, and then you find the runway. You're going to take off like that. So then it's going to go in there into the runway, and you cover it up. So there you have it. It's just like customers' objections. And I always tell people to think about it. Is it a reason or is it an excuse? If a customer is giving you an objection and asking something and it's a reason, reasons are something you can solve and work on and fix. If it's just an excuse, they're just trying to get rid of us because they're protecting another vendor or some other reason. So the vermin are kind of the same thing. You're saying, how do you deal with them? Because they're like excuses, or they're like exceptions, and so, or reasons. And so when we try to deal with the vermin, we try to clean those out of the way as quick as possible in the spring, so it's smooth sailing the rest of the year. Every winter there's a new hatch and there's a new group, just like with your customers. Every time you get a new person that takes over purchasing or takes over a department, they have their old relationships, they have their old reasons for doing business with somebody and not you or us. So they're going to have their reasons and excuses that you have to deal with and try to get rid of as soon as possible, just like we do the skunks, raccoons, and gophers. Now we're on my little lawn tractor with the sprayer that we put to work a lot in the spring. We spray the grasses to get rid of the dandelions and broadleaves and weeds, and we want to protect the grass. The trails, we want to get rid of everything. So we use a thing called Killzall, because then it gets rid of all of the weeds and the thistles, and it protects everything else that's around it, because they don't spread because they're gone. It's kind of like American. When we go into our business, we look at how do we work together and how do we create things and environments and situations where we can kill the weeds or kill the negatives and get rid of them, but dwell on the positives and the things we want to keep and move forward with those things that we protect. So until next month, thank you for being with American. Have a great June, and let's get to work.